The morning of my marriage arrived under a sky of such perfect azure that it seemed tailor-made for our special day. Golden rays filtered through the panes of our modest hall, an old barn renovated in Lancaster County that Ethan Monroe and I had instantly adored. I lingered by myself in the dressing area, my bridal attire draped over a timber rafter. The delicate embroidery caught the glow in a manner that compelled me to pause and savor its beauty. Even with the emptiness gnawing at my heart, my device stayed silent atop the dressing table. No overlooked notifications or incoming texts. I'd been aware for a full month that my folks and sibling wouldn't show up. Mother had reached out while I was settling the menu details with the food provider. Her tone carried that familiar edge she reserved for sharing updates she viewed as minor nuisances rather than disasters. "Darling Rachel, I fear we won't manage to join your ceremony." The provider glanced my way as I clenched the receiver tighter. "What exactly do you mean by won't manage? It's only a month away. Lily's partner intends to pop the question sometime soon. They're off to Miami for a getaway, and we've volunteered to lend a hand with preparations. You're committing to set up for a betrothal that might never occur, over showing up at your daughter's actual union." The phrase soured on my tongue as I uttered it. Don't overreact. Ryan's kin run the wealth sector, and they're sticklers for customs. His elders are booking a luxury vessel for the betrothal escape and urged us to join in. It'd be rude to say no. The provider quietly slipped away from the spot. I barely registered her exit. "So you're bypassing my marriage, my real event, for a potential engagement that could fizzle out. For Lily's partner's relatives, who of you've met just a handful of times. 4 times now, Mother amended, and stop being absurd. Naturally, he'll ask. He'd already revealed the gem to us. It's a whopping 5 carats, Rachel, 5. Plus, your affair is rather understated. Ethan's family is covering most expenses, isn't that so?" Understated. She said it like a slight. Ethan and I had orchestrated it all personally, funded a good portion, and chosen what truly mattered to us. True, his relatives had contributed. They'd pushed to handle the location fee, but from heartfelt support for our picks, not the subtle disdain my kin couldn't conceal. Ethan's kin back our choices. They're not funding a spectacle. Mother exhaled wearily. "I fail to grasp your distress. This isn't out of the blue, Rachel. You forever charted your own course, ignoring our guidance. Had you pursued Ryan when he showed interest prior to Lily, you'd have snagged the yacht moment." The recollection of that exchange burned as I stood isolated in the preparation chamber. Margaret, Ethan's mom, rapped softly before stepping in, her grin inviting as she carried a platter of warm, baked goods and brew. "The cosmetician arrives in 15 minutes. Figured you'd fancy a bite." She paused, noting my expression. "Sweetheart Rachel, what's troubling you?" "Nothing at all," I replied with a strained beam. "Merely pre-ceremony nerves." Margaret placed the tray aside and clasped my palms in hers. "Regarding your parents?" I dipped my head, words caught in my constricted airway. "I'm truly regretful," she murmured, pressing my hands gently. "Yet I need you to realize how thrilled Thomas and I are to welcome you into our fold. We couldn't envision a better partner for Ethan." The ritual unfolded with exquisite closeness, hosting 58 guests instead of the planned 62. Tears brimmed in Ethan's gaze as I proceeded along the walkway, escorted by his dad. Upon learning my own father was absent, Thomas had volunteered to walk with me. My university pals Hannah and Sophie flanked me as attendants, while Marcus, Ethan's sibling, stood as lead attendant. We shared pledges beneath a timber frame adorned with untamed blooms and twinkling lanterns. The gathering featured regional field-sourced meals, artisanal ales from Ethan's preferred distillery, and a curated audio list we'd assembled over many evenings. We swayed amid hanging illuminations alongside those who'd chosen to partake in our joy. Despite the empty spots at the main seating, the affair shone brightly. Our getaway in Maine proved a flawless retreat. Ethan and I savored a week in a coastal hut by Bar Harbor, exploring Acadia State Reserve by daylight and drifting off to ocean murmurs after dark. We unplugged entirely from devices, online networks, and kin tensions. For a full week, it was solely us, forging the bedrock of our union unshackled by outside demands or hopes. Mary Ann, the hut's proprietor, was a gray-maned creator who dwelled there year-round. She warmed to us immediately, divulging offbeat locales seldom known to visitors. A concealed inlet brimming with rock pools alive with sea stars. A kin-run patisserie crafting pies from foraged berries fresh that dawn, and a private ridge trail offering vistas reaching to Canada on crisp days. You pair share a rare spark, She confided one dusk as we sipped a vintage on her veranda. The horizon blazed in bold russets and corals, mirroring across the serene inlet waters. I've observed pairs drifting in for 3 decades. I can spot the enduring ones. What's our edge? Ethan wondered, his digits woven with mine. Mary Ann beamed, creases framing her eyes. You regard one another as peers. Certain pairs feature one forever peering upward, the other downward. That never endures. She raised her vessel and gestured our way. But you too? Level gazes. Her observation lingered through our stay. Level gazes, peers, it embodied perfection. My parents' union fell short of that ideal. My ties to my kin had always rung hollow. Mary Ann slipped a small parcel into my grasp on our final dawn in Maine. Marriage token, she clarified. Unwrap when you crave a nudge. I tucked it into my luggage, planning to reveal it upon settling back home. 2 days post our return from the retreat, a message from my sibling arrived. Absent any felicitations, no probes on the ceremony or escape, merely a photo of an enormous gem on her digit and the note, he asked. Mom and Dad booked a luxury craft with Ryan's relatives for the full escape. We're eyeing a June affair at the Hamilton Manor. Mark your calendar. The hurt that surged was sharply physical, a vice around my ribs, air thinning. After everything, after foregoing my ceremony to orchestrate this very spectacle, they offered zero recognition of their slight. No regrets, no lamenting your absence, merely revelry, and the presumption I'd fulfill my role in Lily's grand tale. I stared at the display for several moments before flipping the device screen down on our fresh dwelling's countertop. Ethan discovered me there later, rooted in place. Lily's betrothed, I stated bluntly. He encircled me from the rear, chin nestling on my shoulder. You holding up? They secured a vessel, Ethan. My parents, who couldn't spare time for their girl's ceremony, chartered a craft for my sibling's betrothal. I'm heartbroken for you, Ratch. I pivoted in his hold, abruptly mindful of Mary Ann's parcel. Stay put. I retrieved the modest offering from my still disordered travel sack. Peeling it open with care, I found a crafted pebble inside. One face bore an ornate directional emblem. The reverse held inscriptions in elegant lettering. Your life's bearing remains yours to steer. A note tucked behind the pebble read, the deepest voyages often start by turning aside. Heed your guide. I returned to the prep area, stone in hand. Ethan remained stationed, worry etching his features. No, I declared, spine firming. I'm finished with excuses, done awaiting their shift. As I voiced it, recollections flooded. A lifetime of unequal handling between my sibling and me stood stark. At 17, Lily earned a brand new ride from our parents. At my turn a year prior, I got road instruction and orders to fund my own wheels. For my secondary school finale, they hosted a quiet meal indoors. For Lily's the following year, they rented a hall for 55 souls. At every turn, the motif held. What Lily claimed gratis, I chased or forfeited. They've revealed their stance my whole life, I uttered, tone steadier than anticipated. I merely resisted accepting it. Ethan seized my palms, gaze unwavering. Whatever path you take, I'm alongside. But ensure it's rooted in dignity, not resentment. His insight moved me deeply. This wasn't vengeance. It was safeguarding my core, carving space for an existence where I ceased chasing elusive regard. That night, I composed a concise note to my parents. I've devoted years yearning for your nod and focus. I've rationalized your deeds and faulted myself for inadequacy. I cease now. I require distance to craft a world where I'm cherished. Kindly refrain from reaching out for a spell. I'll connect when prepared. Rachel. I dispatched a parallel missive to Lily, offering congrats on her union but stating I'd skip her event. Then I barred their contacts, erased them from my digital circles, and turned toward the horizon I was shaping with Ethan. The initial phase of detachment proved tougher than foreseen. Decades-old routines don't vanish overnight. I caught myself grabbing the device to share triumphs before grasping the futility. Sudden waves of sorrow crashed at odd junctures, not for the loss, but for an illusion that never materialized. Boundless kin backing. Ethan suggested counseling. Ratch, this marks a major pivot. An unbiased ear could ease the load. I initially balked. My kin had always dismissed therapy as compensating outsiders for gripes. Yet the echo in my head urged release. Dr. Lauren Hayes, an expert in relational frameworks with insight into grown offspring tackling tangled kin bonds, came via our coverage network. The pattern you outline is widespread, she noted in our third visit. Favored heir against burdened outcast dynamics. It stems not from your essence, but assigned parts. I don't sense as an outcast, I countered. They never pinned faults on me. The outcast isn't solely faulted, she elaborated. At times, they're the adapter, the empathizer, the settler for scraps. The one whose desires rank lower. Her words illuminated a span of moments, how I'd mastered sidelining my urges, amplifying Lily's limelight while downplaying my stumbles. How I'd embraced that craving more branded selfishness, and gratitude for scant notice sufficed. Stepping away doesn't equate to forsaking them, Dr. Hayes affirmed. It's opting out of a cycle that wounds you. That's sound. Via regular dialogues, I dismantled the layered snare of kin imprinting. Certain days unleashed fierce, cleansing fury, scorching away eras of uncertainty. Others plunged into profound gloom, seemingly endless. Still, the inner tempests eased in frequency and force, yielding to fresh horizons. Potential. Ethan and I wove habits bolstering our bond. Weekend dawn strolls through nearby preserves, crafting elaborate dishes midweek evenings, and a periodic quest day venturing to novel spots within a short drive. We forged rights wholly our own, unbound by kin mandates. His parents, Margaret and Thomas, summoned us for meals bi-weekly. Unlike my kin's stiff assemblies, where exchanges felt scripted and critiques masked as concern, these suppers flowed relaxed, with genuine presence and effortless mirth. Margaret never pitted Ethan against Marcus, never hinting one outshone the other. Thomas spoke of both sons with matched esteem. "You carry yourself lighter here," Ethan observed en route home from one gathering. More at ease. "I'm not stealing against critique," I confessed aloud. With my kin, I forever auditioned for validation. Lily messaged via an alternate channel 4 months into the rift. It bypassed my barriers from her professional line. "Rachel, I'm lost on this. Mom and Dad dodge why you've gone silent. They just claim you seek space. My union's 3 months off and my lead attendant spot's empty. Your blood, whatever their slight, don't hold it against me." Lils. The note exposed volumes in its gaps. She sensed parental fault sans details, hinting a pattern she knew. Yet she pressed me into my scripted role in her saga, heedless of my state. I drafted and scrapped 5 variants before settling on candor. "Lils, I'm not retaliating. I'm carving recovery from years of injurious routines. The uneven handling isn't your doing, but I can't feign its absence. I wish your union every dream. I wish Ryan brings joy, but I'll pass. This boundary's vital now. One day, perhaps we'll forge equity, not as prized and overlooked kin." "Rachel," no reply came. Word filtered via shared acquaintances, she tapped her university companion for the role. Their union shots graced a local-style periodical, parents radiant up front, the feast at Hamilton Manor lavish as envisioned. A faint stir hit as I browsed the online portfolios. But not guilt, clarity on our diverging trails. Meanwhile, my path veered in surprising arcs. A quarter year on, the venture launch initiative greenlit my bid. Amid my advanced business studies, I'd hatched a firm idea for adaptable wellness parcel services, blending Eastern and Western health paths. The spark ignited as a scholarly side pursuit to counter academic strain and kin letdowns. Back in my initial degree in life sciences and trade, inspiration struck. My dorm mate Hannah battled persistent exhaustion disorder, so I witnessed raw the flaws in standard care. Healers prescribed pill upon pill, each easing lone signs but ignoring core disharmony. Hannah, weary of their tactics, delved into non-conventional aids like needle therapy, balancing botanicals, and diet tuning. Mainstream views the frame as distinct parts. She shared one evening as we perched on her chamber rug sifting her swelling remedy hoard. Holistic views all as linked. I started skeptical. My lab courses stressed proven facts, regulated trials, and synthetic cures. But seeing Hannah reclaim vigor via this fused path sparked curiosity in mending arts my schooling overlooked. My elder May had sown those seeds far earlier. Born in Fujian region, she crossed to the States in her 20s, blending ancient rites with adopted modern traits. As a child, I summered with her, mesmerized by her cure chest blending drug vials and exotic pots of desiccated flora, tubers, and fungi. "Harmony," she'd declare in her lilting speech, demonstrating ginger brew for my tummy woes over fizzy relief. The frame knows self-mend. We merely cue it. My parents tolerated her vintage cures with thinly masked scorn. Mother, she requires proper remedies. Father pressed whenever ailments struck during stays. May would smile, yield to drug fixes, then slip me her infusions with a sly nod. Post her passing at my 15th year, I inherited her cure ledger, scribbled in mingled tongues logging lineage lore. I hid it knowing my parents would brand it quaint folly. Yet through university and after, I revisited those leaves, especially in strain or ailment. The Zenita wellness venture fused threads, my science roots lending data depth, May's ancient lore granting alternate paths, and my trade credential framing the merge. It offered bespoke remedy plans, harmonizing plants, focused learning aids, and elective remote diet counsel. Each parcel tailored via detailed surveys tackling personal aims and woes with proven blends from varied men traditions. My advanced instructors lauded the spark, but kin brushed it as yet another flighty whim. Father nudged finance roles via his links. Mother floated drug peddling, deeming it close to my bent but lucrative. The health niche crowds quick, father contended in a tense supper clash. And mixed paths are fads. In half a decade, it'll chase the next whim. Not a fad, father, I countered. It's a core shift in health views. Leading clinics launch fused programs. Carriers start covering non-standard aids. Rachel must diverge, mother side to Lily, as if the board weren't us. Recall her push for life sciences over our urged media track. Lily, then in media, smirked. Not all tackle tough fields, Mom. The exchange soured further, my data defenses labeled mulish, my zeal misread as revolt. I'd quit that board laden with the old burden, the drag of misread kin. Ethan backed me wholly. He aided strategy sketches, brainstormed promo angles late, and prodded my incubator bids. His faith held firm post 2 turndowns. Those no's reflect alignment and moment, not your core, he soothed after the second bleak note. The right slot will spot your spark. Spot on. The third pitch to a health pioneer-focused cohort struck true. The nod arrived midweek as I twirled at my advisory post, a sensible gig post degree to hoard funds. I rang Ethan at once. They've inked us. 20 grand seed plus 8 months guidance. Knew it, he beamed, tone solid and warm. This launches it all, Ratch. The cohort claimed full days, so I'd shelve the advisory role. Dread flickered. Parental echoes rang, foolish, perilous, headstrong. Fleetingly, I eyed the device for their counsel, a reflex from ingrained pulls. Instead, I dialed Dr. Hayes for an urgent slot. What's anchoring you? She probed post my rundown. Cash fears, logistics, or terror of vindicating them in flop. Her prod nailed the inner fray. The latter I owned. Should this falter, it'll seal their view of me. And if it thrives, she pressed. Will they credit that as their misjudgment? I chuckled dryly. Likely not. They'll claim eternal support or downplay it. Thus their take can't steer, she ruled. It's a trap if success hinges there. Truth. Months sans direct kin link, yet I still chased their nod, dreaded their verdict. Real freedom crafts calls from inner truths, not knee-jerk to their hopes. I submitted resignation next dawn. My lead, Angela, voiced true regret at my exit, but pledged investor ties. Rachel, your spark has stride. Backed right, you could upend health norms. Days on, I inked the cohort pact. That dusk, Ethan sprang a fest feast on our terrace, strung with glows, bubbly, and halls from our top East African spot. To Zenita wellness, he toasted, gaze catching the sparkles. And to my sharp, bold spouse reshaping health minds. As vessels touched, a profound tie bloomed to my core principles in sight. First time I bridged self and others' molds undivided. The ease stunned. The ensuing 8 months blurred in 18-hour shifts, sample crafts, buyer probes, and endless huddles. Ethan grabbed extra image gigs to buoy funds as I laid Zenita's frame. The title weds calm with May's tail end. By cohort close, we'd snagged 300 grand from early backers, locked suppliers, and dropped a trial site for 250 trial users. Feedback soared. Month 2, hold rate hit 90%, near twice norm. 20 months in, we drew 2.5 mil in prime round. Subscriber tally topped 60,000. 7 months post-spotlight in Ladies Fitness Gloss, Youth Elite Lists, and Dawn broadcasts, roles hit 85,000. Nearing 4-year mark, Zenita surged beyond forecasts. Ethan pitched the ad board. We ought to mark crossing 120,000 with flair, he mused on a scarce lakeside jaunt to the finger zone. Business haze left a scant pause to absorb wins. Boards cost steep, I noted, but the vibe intrigued. Vintage flair for a net-born firm. Vintage pierces clutter, Ethan urged, topping our pores, plus your arc grips. Woman founder, fresh twist, swift rise. Your visage merits 40-foot scale in key spots. I laughed but vowed to float it with promo crew. They embraced swift. We crafted 5 boards in prime northeast hubs, stark layout. My shot with tag wellness redefined, Zenita mark and site. Philly's debut on I-90 caught suburb-to-town commuters, including my parents' route. No intent as kin jab, they'd faded from my scope. 3 years post-silence, I'd shed frets on their thoughts. The void ache filled gradual with drive, feats, and solid bonds. Ethan and I built a home of glee and regard. We found our circle, pals who arrived, hailed highs, eased lows. Angela from old advisory turned confidant and guide. Hannah and Sophie held steadfast. Ethan's folks embraced me as kin, not footnote. The ring came midweek afternoon, mid-forecast chat with finance chief Claire. My aide Brooke rapped my chamber, face unusually flustered. Pardon the cut-in, but a lady on hold one demands you. Claims she's your mom. My pen stalled mid-mark. Claire eyed Brooke and me, catching the air's snap. Route her to voicemail? Brooke asked, hand on knob, deep inhale. No, I'll field it. Claire, our reprieve? Post their leave, I eyed the desk light's pulse near a full-minute air lifting. Rachel Monroe here. Post-ceremony, I'd claimed Ethan's name, severing my last formal kin thread. Rachel, mother here. Her timbre matched memory, yet felt alien after 3-year hush. I know, I held crisp, trade-like poise as if routine client. We spotted the ad panel en route to Lily's yesterday. Father near veered off path. She issued a brief, faltering chuckle that wilted in void. That your calls spark. Ad tactics chat. Goodness no, we're ringing cuz her tone fractured. Rachel, why hide it? Your kin? We learned from a roadside sign you're a thriving mogul. Her query's nerve stole my breath brief. 3 years void, lifelong if then care. What outcome sought? Press drop at their door, routine feat briefs despite disinterest. I shared for years, I said at length. Hobbies, dreams, sights. You tuned out unjust, we forever sought your peak. No, you sought graspable boasts. Lily's matches kin wealth clicks easy. My fused health zeal, two-layered chancy, Rachel please, we've ached for you. You vanished sans word. 3 years, no rings or drops. Then your form looms billboard large. Grasp a mother's sting? Eyes shut, I pictured. Their jolt at my highway visage. Hasty gloss to companions, frantic net hunt on Lily's turf post-arrival. So stunned, puzzled, shamed they'd missed my rise. How felt ditching my ceremony for Lily's betrothal jaunt? I queried soft. What of yachting her pledge yet skipping mine? Line hushed moments. We urged, she yielded eventual. We belonged there. Indeed, you did. The reply emerged cooler than meant. Mother, not a lone slip, culmination of lifelong runner-up status. False, we cherish both equally. Spare the untruths, not here, hush again. Father and I seek men, she stated final. Crave re-entry to your world, neutral spot for direct words. Heart urged shutdown, guard my earned peace. Yet another facet, self-assured in worth, readied clash on fresh footing. Lunch slot Thursday I offered, Eastwood spot by my base. 1:30. We'll arrive, she vowed, tone hopeful. Lily too, she's probed you. No, I held firm. Solo you and father initial. Post hang-up I sat absorbing. Ethan would fret on hearing, shield me from kin pain, but uphold my pick. That net felt armor for what loomed. Eastwood spot nestled ground of a revived mill edifice, 4 blocks from Zenita core. Vast panes flooded light, raw brick and beams nodding to factory roots. I chose neutral turf near my realm for grounded ease. 10 minutes ahead, I claimed a nook seat blending retreat and openness. Brooke blanked my slate post-noon, sensing Sans prompt I'd crave unwind. My parents clocked 1:30 sharp, scanning till spotting me. They looked aged beyond recall, father's locks silvered, mother's lines etched deeper. They neared with mirrored unease, like nearing a familiar stranger. Father breathed Rachel at table edge. He leaned tentative, hug or no unclear. I rose, proffered palm, he clasped, awe in eyes. Mother skipped form, pulling to clasp I met neutral. You shine radiant. She drew back, appraising. Triumph adorns you. We claimed seats, right lending form to raw exchange. Idle prattle bridge till plates arrived. Safe nods on skies, spots raw charm, bruise merit. Plates cleared, father hawked throat. Your mother and I tender regrets, he voiced. We failed your ceremony. No excuse holds and shame grips our choice. His frankness stunned. Father rarely owned slips in my youth. We've reflected deep these 3 years, mother added. On our parenting split twixt you and Lily. Blind then, but hindsight, she wrung cloth. We favored her. We spun reasons for your variance, but truth outs. Why? Query slipped air weighing its weight. They traded glances that mute code from youth, ever barring me from their code. Lily flowed easy, father owned. She craved our knowns, rank, safety, classic wins. You've ever tested edges, mother pressed. Questioned all, sought self-forged paths that daunted us. So you merely opted out, I murmured low. Aye, we did, father affirmed, and forfeited bond with a stellar child thereby. The long-sought nod landed hollow now. I'd woven my world sans their seal. It echoed like charts post-quest end. Share your venture, mother urged, tone earnest. The panel touted wellness redefined. What lies beneath? Next half hour, I unpacked Zenita's aim, arc, and forward gaze. They attended with focus I'd never known, posing apt queries showing pre-meet sector digs. We're bursting pride, father capped. Your build astounds. Thanks, I said, odd accepting their acclaim post-starved years. We'd cherish reweaving your life, Rachel, mother-voiced, arm-bridging sans touch. I scanned their faces, hope, sorrow, fresh meekness. I'm not your old self, I stated. No more dimming to fit molds. We seek no such, father replied. Crave your true form, no vows tendered, I softened, but open to trial ties, festives barred still. No lily merges yet, perhaps monthly brews gauge flow. Ease washed their brows, they'd braced for full bar. We'll grasp any crumb offered, mother whispered. At parting, father halted. One more bit. We caught your talks on grandmother's sway on your spark, Maze blends her ledgers. I nodded, curious as tack. Post your hush, we sorted eaves. Unearthed a crate of her goods grandpa shipped post-passing. Unread ledgers in tongue, aged shots, missives. Figured you'd claim them, throat tightened. You've held her ledgers all span. Unaware till late, mother rushed. Grandpa shipped on his care shift, stored years. Father fished satchel, drew trade pouch. Storage latch downtown, all hers awaits. Claim at will. I claimed the pouch, digits light tremble. Grateful. Beyond spot, we traded awkward half-clasps, pledged links. I watched their retreat to lot, frames less knotted than entry. Skipped office, return, rang Ethan. Outcome, he led, surpassed fears, varied from hopes. En route flat, I recapped exchange. They dug more of May's ledgers, ones unseen. Whoa, Ethan grasped depths. Today unearth? No, process sit down first. Halted at lane, eyed passers. They rang sincere, contrite, Ethan and Zenita curious beyond old brush-offs. Folks shift, he mused soft, prodded by choice fallout, precisely. Unsure if they morphed or I, likely both. Signals shifted, I crossed. 2 years back, their nod would have anchored worlds. Now mere bonus, unforeseen sans need. Cause you've etched your merit inward, Ethan voiced. Wasn't that quest's core? Not swaying them, but self. I beamed, warmth flooding from his grasp. When you wise up, what a stellar woman schooling me daily. That eve, Ethan and I perched terrace, uncorking vintage, city gleams kindling as gloam deepened. I unpacked lunch beats, words, cues, unsaid shades. Full mend with them ahead. Ethan pondered, I mulled deep. Unclear, full men's shape blurs now. Past unwinds not, no, but fresh tomorrow's craft. Cautious, bordered, I twirled poor, light dancing. Wildest twist, grasping their nods optional now. No board sparked their glimpse for spite. No Zenita forged to disprove. For me, hence your thrive, Ethan capped, raising vessel. To lives on your writ, I met his. To paths landing here. Week hence, I hit storage solo. May's crate centered bare space. Mid-trunk brass bound, her name gilt faded on flank. Within, 14 tomes, leather-clad, unseen shots, global healer notes, lineage blends. Uncover felt reclaiming severed self-shard. One fresh shot framed her beaming pre-Fujian outpost, lab coat white, scope looped. Reverse bore crisp script, my halting tongue decoding. Mei Lin fused mend lead since 65. Parents prattled fused, not soul old ways. She'd wielded my firm's core, blend decades pre-west nods. Another caught her mid-western dock cluster, grins broad pre-east-west swap banner. Hours in that vault, ringed by May's lore, I pieced a saga parents missed or muted. Mei Lin span not quaint holdout, as painted. Pioneer fusing paths, esteemed for swaps, dual-trained. Docs held U.S. school links, institute seeks for lore, even text draft contrib pre-cross. My elder parent scorned as quaint, innovated. Bridge of mend lores, cheeks wet as May's U.S. told dawned. Shed pro stature, scholar nets, vital work for kin chances deemed barred in homeland. Did father ken his mother's scope, her field's acclaim, or like migrant young, eyed just un-American bits? In eldest tome, dual script, a line fate struck me pre-birth. Men trails rarely linear. They snake doubt dales, crest resist peaks, ford fear streams, yet per step mender steals. True mend roots in trek, trusting sights others blind. Fingers traced her strokes, tie leaping eras, kin rifts. Her sight steadied where parents faltered. Her fused faith shaped my gaze, kin doubts aside. I bagged keytomes, shots, pro notes prime. Rest for archive care, but these trailed home eve. Ethan awaited meal-prepped sans probe pings. Eyes flared as I arrayed shots on board. She dazzled Ethan. Beyond kin's quaint tag, fused mend prediscipline nod. Voice quaked zeal. She mirrored what they've knocked in my bid. He scanned shots, notes my tongue renders. Zenita shift all? Nod mind whirling paths, not mere build, legacy lift. These holder crafts, trials, honed ways, slept not that night. Balcony vigil till first light, lamplit tome sift, jots, gasps at lore sinking fresh probes. Ties she wove half-century pre-proofs. Next week, urgent huddle for blend crew. Refit recipes core. Fan tome pulls table wide. Maze prime blends, anchor for all after. Dawn's end, fresh blend map sketched. Our probe lead, Dr. Ashap Patel, Ivy-fused doc soured on standard bounds, buzzed thrill. These mixes align bio and lore flawless, she eyed May's script. Your elder outpaced eras, tweaked lines dropped 2 months on. User buzz instant, vast acclaim. Folks hailed sharper gains, bolder yields, milder hits. Hold rate top tier climbed further. Next month rolls crested 180,000. We rolled adapt blends, stretched remote aids, prepped global ships. 3 fresh boards rose key zones, Zenita pacted 2 clinic nets eyeing add-ons. Monthly brew with parents per vow. Flow eased past lunch's edge, skirting deep fields. They quizzed Zenita strides. I theirs, ties, pursuits, plots, Lily unmentioned. Parting, mother pressed small wrap gift. This, I eyed wary. Bracelet May gifted my wedding to father, she shared. Thought it'd link you to her. Unwrapped slow. Jade band, silver-veined, spare elegance. She'd beam for you, mother hushed, said you bore her fire. Slid on, fit seamless shock. Grateful. Lily meets soon? Father asked doorward. She probes constant, craves sibling. Query stirred webs. Lily learned favored pull, but sparked not our rift. Both parent molded. Not yet I held, but perchance future. Office trek I mused odd arc to now. True spark lit a kin skipped right. Their void sting spurred self-rule, else I'd not claimed it. Bored they'd chanced glimpsed outdid mere promo. It mirrored feats in their blank span. Their jolted bold public rise fit. Flip of old gaze, me ever upward seeking nods. Jade cool on skin, May's script recalled her circle mend faith. Perchance this mend form. Measured border firm rebuild of cracked bond, fresh packs. That eve I jotted Zenita phase note. Grow outreach to kin health rights. Probe span mend paths. Ethan spied later, script scan. Fresh tack, not quite, I mused kin, Lily, pain, hope, weave in mind. Mere fusing trek threads. Ain't that fused's root, not squandered, all reshaped. He clasped palm, from snubbed right card to sector shaker. Grand reshape. Prime payback ain't sever, I voiced, truth dawning utterance. Its full self-bloom forcing their glimpse of loss. Not wound, but at last seen. Next week we locked 3 board spots. 1 parent's zone, not taunt or recall, but apt buyer fit. This round, no jolt at highway face.